Recently, the Minnesota Secretary of State, Mark Ritchie, requested the transfer of the state's session laws to the State Archives of the Minnesota Historical Society. This podcast will explain the value of these important records and show how government records are often transferred to the state archives. Stored in these bookcases is the set of Minnesota's session laws dating from 1858, when Minnesota became a state, to 2010. The session laws are all of the acts of the Minnesota legislature as passed in each year's legislative session, and the Secretary of State is mandated by law to preserve these records. There are over 500 bound volumes of various sizes.
When Minnesota was founded in the original constitution of the state, the Office of Secretary of State was created, and one of the jobs assigned to our office was being the home of our state's official documents, including all of the laws passed by the legislature. We've been taking care of them for over 150 years, and it's amazing how many people come by our office and want to see the original of a law. Of course, 150 years ago, they were beautifully handwritten. Modern times, they've been typed. We have new word processors. But the importance of the original documents has always remained the same, and we've taken this responsibility as something quite serious for us in our work. Most pleasurable parts of my job is when 3rd and 4th and 5th graders come over to our office and I have a chance to show them the early laws of our state, and I open up these beautiful, gorgeous books, and they see this handwriting, and of course for many young people it's almost foreign in a way, but they go, it's so beautiful, and I'll get a chance to show them. But it's also an opportunity to say that these were the issues that their grandparents and great-grandparents tackled as legislators, and the writing down of the laws with great care and then having them signed, especially by, of course, our governor and our leaderships, that whole procedure that we still use today was there in the beginning of the state. And these documents are one way that we can be connected to our history. This particular volume is also historic in that it was the laws passed during our nation's Civil War. The Minnesota, although a brand new state, had a very large role in that Civil War, and it's amazing to see the things that the state was grappling with. And of course, this is our 150th anniversary of the start of the Civil War, so it's historic in many different ways. One day, just a few years ago, I was in here, I think it was on a Monday, there was a fire alarm in our building. You know, fire alarms are pretty unusual. We all filed out as we were supposed to, and as I walked by these laws, I thought, oh no, what if it's a fire? Or what if it's a small fire, but there's a water cannon and a lot of water, and the damage that could take place in our session laws. And it started a thought process about how are we taking care of these for the long run? We have 150 years, but will they be in good shape for 300 years? What if there was a fire? But also, what about the climate changes? In the summer we have air conditioning, in the winter we have heat. So I began thinking, well, where's the safest place in Minnesota? Where's the safest place for our children's heritage, our democracy's record to be kept? And there was just one place, the Minnesota Historical Society. I called up right away, talked to staff there, and immediately we began discussing what is the best procedure for making sure that we could properly, legally, and carefully transfer these valuable and really irreplaceable originals of our state laws to a place where they can be protected from the elements, from the climate, and be there for generations to come, for citizens, for judges, Supreme Court justices, historians, you name it, to make sure they're going to change. So I'm thrilled that we're finally completing this process, and that from this day forward, I won't have to worry. I will still worry if we had a fire in our building, but I won't be worried that the originals and only copies of all of our state's laws will be lost. I know they'll be in great hands being taken care of at the Minnesota Historical Society.
To protect the volumes and for ease of handling, staff from the Minnesota Historical Society pack the session laws into boxes. Note, there are different sized volumes, so there are different sized boxes. Temporary box labels are attached. Prior to packing the records, State Archive staff prepared an inventory to the volumes, and as we boxed the records, we updated the inventory to include the temporary box numbers. Hauling the records out of the Secretary of State's office is the physical part of the transfer. Archivists have to be strong as well as smart. And loading the boxes into the van is the next step in moving the records. We moved 12 van loads of records during this transfer. At the Minnesota History Center, the boxes are unloaded at the loading dock and placed on pallets so we can easily move them. A total of 11 pallets of records with over 200 boxes were moved in one day. Now the boxes are moved into the archive storage area, which has the proper environmental controls for storing paper records. The records will soon be cataloged and the inventory will be available online. The Minnesota Historical Society is very pleased to preserve these essential and valuable records for future generations of Minnesotans.